I made you a boatload of cash here over the past few days, and guys, the reality is I've been winning since the sports world resumed at the end of July. Baseball, another winning season, but listen, I can win in baseball just by rolling out of bed, pandemic or not. Football already off to a 7-2 start, including a 5-0 sweep in the NFL. Saturday delivered with the 17th ever 30-dime college football release of my career on Miami and Florida. I told you I thought it was criminal that the Hurricanes were only an 11-point favorite in that game. I thought they'd be laying at least 20. They win 52-10. Yesterday in the NFL, the highest rated play I've had so far this season, a rare 20-dime release, raised the bar 20-dime winner, number 22 out of 34 overall in all sports. I called it my 2 TD burial blowout, and I backed Tampa, a 6-point favorite at Denver, and the Buccaneers jump out early, and they win by more than 2 TDs, 28-10. And you got both of those winners as the half price play of the day, as I continue to show you that you don't have to spend big money to make big money. Well, tonight I put that 5-0 NFL record on the line once more with my normal top-rated 15-dime release, of which I'm a perfect 3-0 so far this season, and I'm going on the Baltimore-Kansas City side. Now, I backed the Ravens in week number 1. I backed the Ravens in week number 2. I also backed the Chiefs in week number 1. These two teams I used more than any other teams last year, and these two teams made me more money last year going on them or against them than any other teams in the NFL. Couldn't wait for this matchup. Love the game. And as I go for winning day number 13 out of 17, I'm once again making it the half price play of the day. And the coupon code is simply HALF, H-A-L-F. Now, here on the video report, I followed up the 3-1 performance on Saturday with a 3-0 sweep on Sunday, giving you winners on the Steelers, the Browns, and the Seahawks-Cowboys over. And for today's free selection, let's take a look at the total for tonight's game, which is sitting right around 54.5 points. And I think there's an interesting way that you can look at this particular game. You could say that the Ravens, their best defense would be a strong ground game, which would churn time off the clock and limit the number of possessions that Patrick Mahomes would have in this game. Because remember, last year when they lost at Kansas City, it was a game in which the Ravens ran for over 200 yards, and their ground game is even better this year with the addition of J.K. Dobbins, the rookie out of Ohio State. But do you really think that Lamar Jackson, who is a more accurate passer and has more weapons at the receiver spots, is going to simply rely on that ground game tonight against a Kansas City secondary that has proven to be vulnerable, not just last year, but this year as well? On the flip side, you have seen a Baltimore defense that has been shredded through the seams by tight ends the first 2 games of the season. Yes, Baltimore has a great cornerback tandem, highlighted by former Chief Marcus Peters and a good secondary overall. But in the seams, Travis Kelce is probably going to have a pretty damn good game, because tight ends in the first 2 games against the Ravens, 16 catches, 148 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Tyreek Hill is probably going to have a good game as well. And Patrick Mahomes, who has thrown for 377 and 374 yards in his first 2 meetings with the Ravens in his career, is probably going to have another big game as well. This kind of reminds me of when I said to you yesterday about the Seattle-Dallas game. How could you not bet the over in that game? In that particular contest, I said each team was going to get into the 30s, so why not bet the over? Well, here you have a lower price total, a total that is sitting at 54.5. Do you really think that this is going to be a 27-24 game? Do you think this is going to be a 27-20 game? I don't think so. I think that this is going to be a game that both teams are going to get into the 30s. I can see this being 34-30. I can see this being 37-34. Either way, I think you've got to play this game over. So if you're going to play the total, you play it over. By the way, let me talk about that quirky little stat that I always like to update you on, where if you simply can predict the straight up winners, you will find the first 8 to 10 weeks of the season, they will deliver at somewhere near an 85 to 90% clip. Week number 1, they went 15-1, the straight up winners against the spread. Week number 2, which didn't surprise me, generally that's the week you're going to have the greatest pullback in that streak or in that trend. They went 9-7. So far this week, they're 13-1 against the spread, meaning the straight-up winners so far this year against the spread are 37-9-1. And again, if it was just so easy to pick the straight-up winners, we'd all be rich. And you wouldn't be gambling, I wouldn't be gambling, all of us would just be mega millionaires. In terms of the favorites and the underdogs yesterday, favorites had a slight edge, going 8-7. Actually, since Thursday, the favorites are 8-7 against the spread. In terms of the dogs, 5 of those 7 dogs that got the job done so far this week have won the game outright, starting with Miami on Thursday night, including Chicago, Carolina, Detroit, and of course last night with Green Bay. And finally, for you trivia buffs, in case you happen to be on Jeopardy anytime soon, today, September 28th, way back in 1970, 50 years ago today, the second ever Monday night game, you had the defending Super Bowl champion Chiefs, ironically in Baltimore, to play the then Colts. How about that one for you guys? I happened to, because I was curious, I had to go ahead and look this up. So I will pass on this tidbit for you. The Chiefs won that game 44-24. I don't know if that has any relevance for you here tonight. Surprisingly, Baltimore lost that game despite having 26 first downs versus the Chiefs 11. And why did that happen? Because Len Dawson was 9 for 12 for 152 yards and 4 touchdowns, because Earl Morrall was going for the Colts that night instead of Johnny Unitas primarily. Morrall 17 for 36, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, sacked 4 times. Johnny U, 5 for 15, 58 yards, 2 interceptions, 3 sacks on the night. And the Chiefs won that game in a walk-away road win at the old original Memorial Stadium. History repeat itself 50 years later to the date? I don't know. You'll have to get my pick to find out. Good luck, everybody, and talk to you again tomorrow when we do this again.